This is the Real Positive Girl podcast, and I am your wonderful host, Sabrina, and I'm here chatting with you about your emotions, your mental health struggles, how to take those first few steps towards being more vulnerable, more honest, and the most important one, I think, is becoming more self-aware. Although I have been backing being more honest a lot lately because it's so super duper important. But yeah, so we're talking about all those things and so many more, and we do that 2 times a week here. So if you are new, welcome to the best place ever. I don't know. No, I wouldn't say that. But welcome in. And if you're not new, welcome back. You know how this works. We're going to get into a deep chit chat because today we're going to talk about how to preview the week ahead. So preparing your mindset to succeed. I know it sounds cheesy. It's going to be better than that. Okay. It's just the most appropriate title for what we're talking about, friends. But before we dive into that, I want to make sure that we've taken time to become friends online, but I can't take that time until you take that time to send me a DM. So pop down to the show notes below and find where my name is so you can find me on Instagram and TikTok. I'm at both Sabrina Joy Perozzo on both of those socials. And then if you are a Twitter person, I was super hot on Twitter and I'm still there. So if you are on Twitter, come friend me, say hi. I am at Real Sabrina Joy. And then if you didn't know, you can also type in at Real Positive Girl on YouTube, and you will find that I am continuously uploading video versions of the podcast. We are going strong. 2 or 3 are being uploaded every single day until we catch up. And it's very exciting. So check out all those places for us to become friends. Send me a DM, say hi, tell me what your favorite kind of soup is. If you're not a soup person, please tell me what your favorite sandwich is. If you're not a sandwich person, just tell me something that you really like to eat because I like talking about those kind of things. I think in a far off dimension where I would create another podcast, it would be totally something random and nothing about mindset and mental health, which is unlikely to happen. But if it did, I would love to talk about why people like the kind of foods that they do and why people act the way they do at restaurants and just that whole social scene of eating and dining out and foods and grocery stores and things I don't know. Anyway, take a look in the show notes below. Let's become friends online. Also, check out all the wonderful links that you can, kind of peek around in. There is a weekly newsletter that comes out every Monday. So sign up for that for behind the scenes and new projects that I'm working on and all those types of things. There's also a way for you to anonymously vent if you do not have anyone emotionally available in your life to do so, and also anonymously suggest a topic for the podcast. And there's so many more things down there. Just check them all out, see what you think. But let's go ahead and focus in on what we're talking about, which again is how to preview the week ahead, preparing your mindset to succeed. So I used to have this weird mindset. Even when I was writing these notes, I was like, I have to tell this. I just have to put it out there the best that I can because it makes no sense. But I used to have this weird mindset where I didn't want to talk. Oh, I definitely didn't want to do that. But I didn't want to think about the week ahead too much because I was afraid of jinxing it or manifesting something bad happening or all of these this super uber negative mindset about what the heck could happen if I just even thought ahead even a little bit, even thinking okay, well, how was Monday gonna flow? And it's oh no, if we think about that, something terrible, drastic, awful could happen. And also I had no idea what manifesting was back then. So I wasn't if I were to be told that word, I would think it was just using magic to make things happen, which is not the thing that I believe in. So I didn't know anything about that. So it wasn't the thoughts that I had were like that, but it was just so odd to fear looking at the week ahead. It was a real actual thing that I would fear. And I think it was because I was enduring so much pain and trauma on the regular during that time of my life. During late childhood, going into college, things like that I didn't know and I didn't want to know what was coming. It was just oh, I don't really need to add to the burden of everything I'm going through right now. So let's just not think about it. Let's just go into it when we get there. And, I tell that story because it's just this it's good to admit when we know that we've had a mindset that just did not align with what we thought we were trying to do, and that didn't actually pan out to happen at all. And just to be honest about like where we were, and we'll be able to like tie back and see the growth that we've come to now, which is absolutely fantastic. And maybe you haven't like endured any pain or trauma or anything that I have shared. Like you're like, I'm not even on that level, Sabrina. Like, that like relates to fearing what is coming next or having to deal with like high anxiety or anything. But if you find it difficult at all to prepare your mindset for the week ahead, like you're just like, it just feels very overwhelming. I wouldn't even know what to think about. Like, who wants to start doing something new? You know what I mean? I am here to share with you why it's so important and integral to your week to think ahead for the week ahead and how you can do it in the most beneficial way. Because it's pretty helpful and it's actually easier to do. And if you're able, like me, to step over that fear of thinking that if you think anything at all of the future, specifically the week coming up too, that things will just go wrong, like out of nowhere, if you're able to step over that, which obviously eventually I was, then it's going to be a great thing for you. It's going to be a fantastic thing for you, actually. So taking a little bit more time at the top of the week. So let's say you would do this like on a Sunday, or you could do it like on a Monday morning, like it's like, okay, you wake up, you do your routine, and then you're like, sit down, you're like, okay, let's preview how the week has gone, right? So I think it just like depends. You could probably like preview every single day before you get up. I feel like that's like a commitment that you have to decide if you're willing to make. That is not a commitment that I am willing to make right now, at least in this season of life. But looking at the week as a whole, I could do. But either way, it's going to be really beneficial. But taking that little bit of time to preview the week ahead will help you like make any decisions on what needs to change based on what happened last week and what you want to do differently to have like a different type of week, like a different feel, different mood, different vibe, especially if the week before was just very like low energy. Nothing was happening. You felt very negative and you felt like you were really down on yourself. Maybe you're like, we need to change this up. We need to flip the script. We need to do something different, right? And you want to like make sure you feel prepared both mentally and physically. Let's say you have to actually give a presentation. So you want to make sure you're actually physically prepared with the slides and anything else that you may need for your presentation. Or if you don't do slides during your presentation, you are just physically aware of like how you want to look and present yourself in that presentation. You know what I mean? And just make sure that you feel prepared for what you need to accomplish and also what you need to work on. It's important for you to highlight that as well because, really just going like week to week and being like, oh, I want to do this and this and this. And you only focus on goals and things that are like capped at the end, like you're able to just finish it in one day or in one week. Also consider the things that you need to continuously work on and get better at as well. And we can only do what we have control over, which is really important to highlight because a lot of times when we think over things that we would like to change or we want to see them like hit the highest horizon and become its best, we think that we need to control everything. When in reality, we don't. We just need to control what we can control, which is ourselves. And that's all we can control. And that's the reality of it. It's not even like an opinion, it's just a fact, right? So we can only control what we have control over, which is ourselves, but we can still make a difference on our week with ourselves. We can make the biggest difference. Also, you need to prepare your mind for ways to like pump yourself up when the days get tough and feel like real unbearable. When you like run into those days, and my husband would say it's like a Tuesday. He hates Tuesdays for like whatever reason. Like it doesn't really bother me, but I don't really see. Do I like not like any day? And from like a work perspective, I would say probably I don't like Fridays. You're probably like, what is wrong with you? Because from a work perspective, I don't feel like a lot of work gets done on Fridays, especially like for me having to like working in a company where we are working all in different time zones. And so when I start work, like the people on the East Coast are already like, halfway done. And it feels harder to get work done because like, once you get through half of your day, you're already in like weekend mode. So anyway, Um, anyway, just something interesting that I've never actually taken a moment to really think about. But when you get to those days where it just feels unbearable, feels like you can't keep going, you're just like, oh, this is the worst. You just need to be able to like pump yourself up and keep going and like motivate and encourage yourself. Like, listen, we got to keep it moving. We can do this, right? And just so you know, in the last episode, the one that came out right before this one, we chatted all about the best ways for us to like review and reflect on the past week to gain more clarity and direction in like what needs to improve for this week or sometime in the future. It doesn't necessarily have to be like the next week. And what has been improving, but we didn't really notice it. A lot of times we will be able to have growth in things that we are working on, but we won't even realize that we have that growth until we take a step back and like really see everything together and like, oh my gosh, look at how much better we've gotten at that thing. So all of those things are absolutely like fantastic for us to really do and practice. So check out that episode if you haven't already listened to it. Again, it's the one that happened right before this one, and it will help you to like learn to review, which will couple well with today's episode on how to like preview the week, and then you'll be able to put those together like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or whatever type of sandwich that you like for a great practice of like self-awareness and mindset flexibility. Because you look at last week, you're like reviewing it, and then you were like previewing what's happening this week. And I just think it's a beautiful like pairing, to be honest. And a lot of it's actually based on the fact that in the planner journal that I created back in October 2022, every single week I would have like a review and preview the week. And so it was like a half page for review and half page for preview. And you would fill it out every single week so that it would help you kind of like reflect on what happened and then go into the next week feeling like prepared and how you can prepare. And then you would take a lot of that. And when you went to review and preview the month, which had more like page space, there's like one whole page dedicated to reviewing and one whole page dedicated to previewing for the next month and the previous month, so that you're able to like look back. And I would say that like when you came to like the end of the month, you could even look back and see the progress that you made from week to week because you took the time to review it and then you took the time to preview it and see like how whatever you did when you previewed it, if those things actually benefit you in the next week, and you could actually use that data after going through doing those things for 2 weeks and seeing if they worked. And if it didn't, you could try something else. And if it did, you can continue on. You know what I mean? So anyway, it's kind of like a good way of looking at data that you collect about yourself and how you live your life. And then again, using that data to become your best self and live your life even better. I don't know. It gets me really excited. I love data and statistics and thinking about things that way and like research. It's absolutely fantastic. So anyway, I just encourage you to check out the last episode because it goes really well with this episode and just being well-rounded in the whole review and previewing of the week. Today, we are going to chat about how to preview the week ahead to be like as prepared as we can for what you know is going to happen, right? And I want to make sure that we definitely highlight the fact that I said what we know is going to happen, because if you live the life that I live, undoubtedly there's going to be something that happens that you didn't know what was happening. You absolutely had no idea. But it's still all about like being flexible in our mindset and knowing that we can do our best to prepare for everything, which shouldn't really be the goal. You shouldn't be like preparing for every single scenario, because that really does, kind of like trickle into anxiety a little too much. But yeah, so we can like prepare for as much as we can, but still have to deal with unexpected difficulties that just like spring up as like a surprise that we never, ever, ever asked for. And surprise. But as always, we can only control what we can control. That's just it. But that really is like pretty fantastic option for us to just like really zone in and be like, okay, well, this is what I can do. I'm going to do the most that I can do. And I'm just going to like trust that we'll figure out the rest. So before I get into the 5 ways that would be most beneficial for you to preview the week ahead, let's do the normal disclaimer. So everything that I've shared so far and everything I'm about to share and how and like the tips and advice I'm going to give is all based on my own knowledge and research and my experiences and the experiences of others that I am able to share. If you find that you're just not aligning with what I'm sharing, that's totally fine. I will never be the person that says that I know everything and that I don't. I really don't. And that my information and my advice is fit for everyone. It's just not. Some people will just not align with it. Some people's seasons of life just don't align with doing those things. You need to do other things. It's totally fine. So in that case, I do encourage you to seek out a counselor or a therapist and for you to have that one-on-one connection with them to find out what aligns with you to figure out the best way to preview the week ahead to help you feel more mentally flexible and able to get through the week. If you don't want to do that, then I encourage you to go to our best friend, Google, and type in how to, prepare for the week ahead, preview the week ahead, use those keywords, find all the research articles, videos, blogs, all the things to help you figure it out on your own. So that's totally fine. Okay, so also another disclaimer that I feel like I've been making on and off lately is that I think I'm getting sick. Today, my throat hurts so bad, but I am going to power through. And if it sounds a little scratchy or something or stuffy, I apologize if that sounds really annoying. Definitely not my intent. But it's my intent to have that as opposed to skipping the podcast. Absolutely not. We are going to make it happen. Because as much as I can, if I'm here and I am able, I'm going to do the show because I'm dedicated like that. And I just love it. I just love it so much. So here are 5 ways to preview the week ahead. This should be hopefully super helpful for you. Okay, so the first one is to review anything you know will be difficult or anxiety inducing. Review anything you know that will be difficult or anxiety inducing. So basically, I'm just encouraging you to just start off with the hard stuff, just right from the get-go, and just get it out of the way. Figure out all the hard stuff. Understand what you need to do to get through those things and how you can make sure your mindset is right to do so. So sometimes at the top of the week, maybe something has happened over the weekend, or we've decided to pull all the baggage and the drama that happened from last week with us into Monday morning, into the new week, which is unnecessary because yes, you might still harbor, negative feelings and anger and whatever, unforgiveness towards other people because of things that they did. And that might still be affecting your work currently. However, it's still not going to be helpful to drag all of that from last week into this week because number one, it shows that you just can't let go of things and move forward. Number two, it can also demonstrate that you being right and continually putting those issues in someone else's face is more important than you actually finding a way forward. And number three, it's just not a good look. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't try to solve problems that weren't solved in the previous week and try to figure out what the heck is happening, especially if people are trying to throw you under the bus or make you look bad or whatever. But you need to find a new spin on it for this week so that you are still actually actionably finding a way forward from all that crap. So, which is another reason why you should just start with all the hard stuff right at the beginning. So when you preview the week, you're like, okay, what's going to be the most difficult thing that I'm going to have to deal with this week? Let's start brainstorming how we're going to handle it. How am I not going to drag all of last week's drama? Or if it's a situation where you had a really dramatic weekend and all of that is happening outside of work and has nothing to do with work, but you still feel very emotional and caught up in your mind of what happened, okay, that's going to be a hard thing for you to deal with as you go through work or you go through the rest of your week, whether you're in school or you're at home with your kids, and it has nothing to do with that, right? And you want to be in the right headspace to deal with your week upcoming. So really just lay it all out there and be like, this is going to suck. This is going to suck. How can we make sure that we're going to be able to get through this without falling to pieces? And I'm not saying it's bad to fall to pieces. I'm just saying when would be the best time that we could do that? If we do end up falling to pieces at work where it's not the best time, what can we do to pick ourselves back up? Who can we call? What can be our out if we need it? Really just figuring out what needs to happen and just making sure that we can have our mindset as right as we can. So review anything you know will be difficult or anxiety inducing. Get through figure out how you can get through those things, how you can deal with whatever may happen during the week so that you are as prepared as you can be in a way for you to still succeed and get through the week without allowing too many things to hold you back. Sometimes things will just hold us back and it'll just suck and it'll be a good learning lesson, but other times we can kind of like, have like a pregame plan and at least have some things to try or lean into when those like pockets of trouble end up coming, okay? Okay, so number 2 is prioritize what needs the most attention. Prioritize what needs the most attention. There could be weeks where this one, prioritize what needs the most attention, feels very similar to review anything you know will be most difficult or anxiety inducing, because maybe you feel like what needs the most attention is like all the drama that happened at work last week, and so that's going to be difficult for you to handle, and that needs to be prioritized at the top. That's totally fine. That's totally fine. But there are going to be other times where there's going to be all that really hard crap that happens in the week, and then there's just going to be like needing to make a general priority list to understand what needs to be tackled and like whatever reason that you find that it has priority over something else. So I would actually list out what needs to happen like physically. So whether it's like on your phone in like whatever app, or you have like an actual written list, or you write it on your computer, in your calendar, wherever, where you actually like put in order what needs to be done, and however you need to prioritize that. It's up to you because you know how it should be prioritized. And just be honest about it. You don't have to like be like, well, I should spend time with my family and that should be a priority. But if it's not really a priority over you needing to really work on some sort of project or hit a deadline, then just be really realistic and honest with yourself. Like, oh no, I got to hit the deadline. That's first. Time with family is next, because normally you do prioritize family time, but this thing has to get done because there's a deadline attached to it. You know what I mean? So just really be honest about what needs to be in what spot, and make sure this is like, again, determined by importance. And also you can think about like what would you end up like procrastinating on and what you're already behind on. So if you're already behind on a project that you know, again, is due at the end of the week, that could definitely be prioritized above other fun things or more leisurely things that you really want to do, but they need to come second to this thing that you really have to do. Or you might not have a job to review on soon because you didn't get that thing done, right? And it always helps me to review the things that I need to get done, especially things that I think they're going to be easy and I don't need to allocate a whole bunch of time to, because I won't immediately procrastinate it to the last second, because I'm like, oh, this is going to be easy. But then I end up pushing it off and I feel so tired and overwhelmed. And I'm just like, oh, why didn't I just get this done if I thought it was going to be so easy? And sometimes it is easy. It's just, it would have been easier, even more so, just to get it done earlier. And then like maybe had more time, but instead we did all the fun stuff in the middle and then left to work till the end. Even if it's going to be quote unquote easy, it still requires time spent. It's just like, no, I should have just got it done. Would have been better. Would have been way, way better. So prioritize what needs the most attention, however you think that should be, in the most honest and realistic sense that you can do. Number 3, list 3 things you will do to practice self-care. List 3 things you will do to practice self-care. So when I wrote this one down, it's like, it's important. Okay, again, it's based upon the journal that I created, but it's hard to tell people what self-care they should do because people see it from different viewpoints, different perspectives. A lot of people see it in the most classic way, like take a bubble bath or, read a book or get a massage. And those are all great things. And I love every single one of those things, every single one. But sometimes it needs to be something that doesn't feel like self-care, but really is self-care for you. And so that's why it's sometimes difficult to talk about. But when you do, and I want you to do at least 3 things, because then that'll like kind of like spread it out through the week and it gets you in a better habit of doing it and you're more willing to do it every single week. It comes up. But make sure you choose something that actually will help you and not being something you're just doing to say that you did something. So like Don't just take a bath and sit there and mope and be upset the whole time just so you can say that, oh, I took a bath. So you can kind of like, check off that thing on the list of things that you need to do, right? So make sure you choose something that will actually help you and not be something that you're just doing because you're trying to like check a box off. And even if what you choose is something that, realigns you, like taking time for yourself away from certain people or deciding to no longer participate in a relationship, a community, activity, whatever, it just needs to be something that will help you be a better you, right? So if it is time away, if it is like, finally enforcing boundaries, if it's pulling away from something that you really enjoy but is not benefiting you, that can still be self-care as well. So just make sure you list at least 3 things and how you're going to practice that self-care. Make sure it's going to be something that will actually help you. And it doesn't always just have to be like a massage or reading a book. It can be something deeper than that. It could be like, researching a new fitness event to go to if that is your thing. Or it could be researching a new book to read because you really love to read books and that's like your favorite thing. That's totally fine. Maybe it's researching a new place to go for like vacation or travel if that's what you're really into. That can be a form of self-care because you're, continually building up research until you decide to go where you're going to go, or you've already chosen a place and you're trying to create an itinerary. You know what I'm saying. So list at least 3 things you will do to practice self-care. Number 4, list 3 ways to stay energized and 3 ways to stay focused this week. List 3 ways to stay energized and 3 ways to stay focused this week. So it's important to have things ready to go when you need like a pick-me-up or feel like the week is just dragging by, or if the week will be a bit tough, just schedule something knowing you'll need and appreciate it later in the week. You know what I mean? Those weeks where we just feel like things are just so like overwhelming, or we have really big things coming up where we have to like spend time with people we're not looking forward to, or we have other like really big emotional things that are going to happen where we need to plan something. We just need to like get something on the books and be like, okay, I'm going to plan like, some time to be by myself because that's going to help me to just like re-energize myself because maybe you're an introvert. If you're an introvert like me, planning time to be alone like can be one of the best things for me. Just to like kind of like reset all of my energy, right? But there are just going to be times where your week is just dragging on. And so you might want to just have an idea in your back pocket to be re-energized or to refocus on what really needs to get done. That is like so helpful for me because oftentimes I'll get so distracted on really, really needing to get something done. And then I'll be like, oh, but wait, all these like 20 other things need to also get done. And I don't, I just like float away like a butterfly, just going from flower to flower. I'm like, what am I doing here? So it's just nice to like have those ideas. And I'm not saying that you have to come up with like 3 brand new ideas every single week for both of those things. If you have some that you haven't done or some that always come in clutch to like refocus you or to energize you for the week, then add those to the list and just have those like ready to go. But yeah, so it's like if the week is dragging or you feel like kind of out of sorts or really tough stuff's going to come, just like plan it, anticipate it, and be ready for that. Things that like help me to re-energize after like a long day would be like saving a new episode of like a show to watch. So if I know that I'm going to need some downtime by myself, I'll just like, if I have new episodes of a show on deck, I will just save those and be like, okay, let's watch those. Even if it's like a really, really old show, but I'm just like slowly going through it on like whatever streaming app, I'll be like, okay, let's just not watch any until after this day or after I get through this part of the week. And that can be like my reward, my thing that'll just like re-energize me and get me like really excited, right? Or choose a day to like go get takeout from like a really good restaurant that I really enjoy, which would be like taking myself out to dinner, but probably still buying it for the rest of the family, you know what I mean? Or taking myself out to lunch. Or there's times where often if I know I have a lot to do one day at work, I will stop by and get like a coffee, not a coffee actually, no. I would get like a iced tea and like an oatmeal from Starbucks because I'm like, okay, I'm going to treat myself and energize myself to get through this whole day because I know there's going to be a lot of crap to deal with. And I just feel like that really helps me. Or planning it sometime, like a get together with like a friend. I don't do that a lot. I have trouble with doing in-person things with people, but I know that can be really helpful too. It has when I've done it in the past. So really just kind of consider like what would be best for you to stay energized, and then write that list of those 3 things. And then for things that help you stay focused, I like to use goal or oriented things. So it's like, okay, if I finish this project or if I finish working on this part of this thing, I will allow myself to do this, which again could be a TV show, or it could be, oh, I really want to go and try out this new thing that I bought. So I kind of did that with the new little instant camera, Instax like Fujifilm camera thing that everyone has. I didn't open it out of the box for a while because I was like, I need to get through this week. I need to get this work done. And that was kind of like the prize to stay focused. Or I will be like, okay, I can go sit on the couch and watch a new episode of The Circle if I am able to write this much in the book that I'm writing, or write this many affirmations, or do this, that, and the other. You know what I mean? So really just finding those ways to stay focused. I'm pretty goal-oriented when it comes to that. So whatever you feel could help you like get back in line, do those things. So list 3 ways to stay energized and 3 ways to stay focused this week. And number 5, the last one I have to share with you, is practice self-awareness by knowing when you're taking on too much or shocker, could do more. Woo. Practice self-awareness by knowing when you're taking on too much or could do more. Oftentimes our ego and our pride get in the way of us saying that, hey, we're taking on too much, we need to ask for help, or we just need to like do less, right? And we need to get better at dealing with that and not like getting all in our head about it and feeling like we have to do it because this person's done it or done it in the past, or there's this expectation on me. No, you just need to like be aware. But then it's important for us to be honest and have foster not foster, but actually use the self-awareness that we have, practice it more so that we're able to just call ourselves out when we could have done more. And it's not that we're trying to push ourselves to the brink. It's more of like, you could have done more, but you chose to be lazy. You chose to procrastinate. You chose to not do more because of like fears of this, that, and the other, anxiety. But we could have done more. We could have progressed in our goals, and we could have gotten a little farther. We could have felt a little better about ourselves. Or we could have just like stayed on track. We could have not gotten behind and had whatever consequences happened at work or whatever, So if you're going to be honest with anyone, my whole thing is like, be honest with yourself, okay? Be honest with yourself, because it's so easy to lie to ourselves because no one will know. No one knows. Only you, and you think that doesn't matter. It matters 110%. More than that, 1,000%. So be honest with yourself. If you find yourself feeling like it's all too much, either ask for help or let something go. 2 choices. It's whatever you want. Also, if you ask for help and no one is able to help you, then you are down to 1 choice where you have to let it go. And that can feel really tough, and it could definitely feel like you've failed. But I always say that mistakes and failures are our life's best learning lessons, and they are. And that's not really like a comforting like hug or blanket in the moment of it happening, but it is a truth that we can like still cling to and realize, okay, we took on too much this time. It feels really crappy, but hopefully this will help me for the future. And I have to do what I have to do. I have to let something go. So it's better to stay afloat than to sink to the bottom, because there's like more consequences and pain if you allow yourself to just be overburdened and just sink to the bottom and just feel like you're drowning. Just feel like you're drowning rather than like just staying afloat enough to really figure out, what the heck am I doing in my life? Why am I making it this difficult? You know what I mean? So practice self-awareness by knowing when you're taking on too much or could do more, because there could be times where you could be doing more. You could be like actually trying to get things done. You could like push through your desire to procrastinate and be like, okay, let's just get this rolling, because it's going to mean this, this, and this, whether good or bad or a mix, probably a mix. And it's going to be worth it. And it's not worth the craziness at the end of trying to have everything happen like really quick at the end, when I could have just had it just like slowly come together over time. You know what I mean? So practice self-awareness by knowing when you're taking on too much or could do more. But that's it. That's all 5 of the things and the ways to preview the week ahead. You know, usually when you preview the week ahead, you can tell when there's going to be too much, or when you didn't stack your calendar enough, or you chose to focus on the wrong things when you know the right things that you need to focus on. But again, it all comes down to honesty, being vulnerable with yourself, and whether or not you are wanting to become your best self. Sometimes there's times where we're not. We just don't care. We're trying to just float through life. But that can only happen for so long before you come into other problems and get caught up in things that you wish you hadn't. So I do encourage you to try to figure things out when you have a chance, especially when you have help. If you have someone that comes along and just wants to help you, take all of the opportunity to have that help and figure your life out. But I hope that you take these tips for how to preview the week ahead and use the tips and use the tips from last week or from last episode talking about how to review and reflect on the week that just passed. That will help you just become even more successful than you already are in your everyday life. And that's it. So thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast again with me, Sabrina. Thank you so much for listening, downloading, sharing the show. I appreciate every single one of you. And until next time, have a good one, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye, everyone.